All right, so now we are going to talk about something else. Pretty much the same idea, but something else. So right now we know that we get stack navigation. All right, we know we can do that. But of course, we get two different styles of navigations with React navigation. We get the side drawer. So that's what we're going to do. Let me take you to the docs. So if you go to the main docs, in the left, if you click on the different status bar configuration based on route, you're going to get an example of the different types of navigations. So right here, if we go to the bottom, we get the drawer, all right? So maybe you noticed that we create an instance with a different name. We cannot create this with the stack navigation, so we need to create a new one. So okay, I'm going to go to the app.js, and I'm going to pretty much comment all of this out, because now we're going to get a different type of navigation. And we're going to need to kind of start from the top. There's no other way. So I'm going to do const, and for now pretty much do the same thing, app navigator, and I cannot create a stack navigator. So we need to import create drawer navigator. So I'm going to go right here at the top and import this thing. All right. So then what do we do? Well, it's pretty much the same idea. Then create the stack navigator. We create an instance of this, open and close, and then we pass the screens that we're going to get. So we know that we have a home screen. So I'm going to say home, and this home, it's going to be equal to the home screen we have at the top, right? Same home screen. And then I'm going to do comma. I'm going to go here. I'm going to say users. So I'm going to users, and then of course the users screen we have at the top. All right, so I'm just going to copy and paste. So we're going to start slow. Of course, this is going to get pretty big, just like this one. But at the beginning, we're just going to do that. So we are creating a new instance of create drawer navigator, and we are, of course, storing this inside app navigator. Now, everything else is just the same. We create an app container, and we pass the app navigator that contains the drawer. All right, so if I save this, all right, and I go to my simulator, and I reload it, we get this. And if I swipe, we get the navigator. It's that easy, right? You need to swipe. Right now, we don't have a button. We need to add it. So, if I go to home, of course, we get home. So if I go to users, I go to users, and we go to the users screen. So what the swipe navigator, this drawer navigator, what it's going to do is going to create one screen and one option, one button for each screen. So if you have a home screen, you click and you're on the home screen, that component. So if you go to users, it's going to go to a completely different component, which is the users. So this is not going to work just like the stacks, where we go to home, and then if we go to users, the user is going to be a child of the home screen, where we get a back and everything else. So with the drawer, each screen is going to be its own component, right? That's the first thing we need to know. Now, of course, when we create a drawer navigator, what you're losing is the header. You don't get the ability to add a header just right out of the box with create drawer navigator. You will need to kind of do it yourself. And you can do it, of course. You can add a new component, not inside of this, but create a new component, maybe add it in home as a HOC, and just render whatever title, whatever header, right? But we kind of need to do this. We don't get it just with the navigation. Now I'm going to go here, and of course this is the example we get the screen 1, screen 2, and we get the screens. Now if of course we go right here and you search on the API reference and you go to create drawer navigator right here, API, and create drawer navigator, you're going to get pretty much all the options of what we can do. Now of course we are using a different type of navigation, so we get different options because of course it's a completely different component, right? We get something else. So of course you get new options and everything else. Now the way to call these options are pretty much the same with the stack and then the tab navigator. It's pretty much the same. What it changes is the option we get right here, and we're gonna go through this in a minute. All right, so let's begin with the options. Okay, so let's start first with this options. So this one's the options we get pretty much by default, the main configuration of the drawer. So for example, if we go to the stack navigator, because it's the one we know, we would put this options right here, after the first argument. So I'm going to go right here at the top. I'm going to say comma and pass. the options. So for example, you can set the drawer width. So if I'm going to go right here and say 100, we're going to get the width of 100. So if I swipe it, we get 100. Pretty simple stuff. So of course you get some other things like the position. I could just change the default position, which is left, and say that I want the right. And again, all of these options, they make sense. Is whenever you create a side drawer, for example, for web, you always get the same options. You know, the background color, from where are you going to slide it. So I'm going to say background color red, and let's see what we get. So I'm going to reload it, and all right. Maybe I'm having troubles into, oh, of course, slide this, because we are in a simulator. In real life, this is going to be much simpler. Now, what you get is this one. This one is really important. So you get the drawer type. So by default, we get just slide, right? But then you get some other options. For example, you're going to get front. And at the beginning, you're not going to see the difference. So I'm going to swipe it, and this is what we get. So what it's doing, the front, is going to put the navbar on top of the component. You know, the component that sits at the back. And with the other ones, with the back, we're going to get something else. Let me just reload it. I'm going to reload it, and let me go like this. So what it's doing, it's moving this component all the way to the left, right? Again, you get different types of drawer styles. This is what we use the drawer navigator config. Now, what I want to do, because it's you know, bothering me just a little bit, instead of just swiping the component, you know, swiping the side drawer, I want to click button and maybe open this. So I'm gonna go maybe at home, just gonna go at home and create a new component. So instead of going to users, I'm gonna comment this out and pretty much start over. I'm gonna go and say that I want to bring a button, all right, and make it a self-closing tag. So I'm gonna say, okay, so this button is gonna be title and say open side drawer. There we go. So how can we trigger the open side drawer? So of course you get a set of different types of events. So if we go right here, let me see if I can find them. Maybe at the bottom. No, we don't get the items right here. But don't worry, we're going to tell you. Just pretty simple. I believe I have some documentation right here. Let me just open it and bring it to you. I'm going to go here. So on the docs and the drawer navigation, if you go here, it's going to give you an example of how this can work. And at the bottom, it's going to tell you what you will need to call to open the side drawer. So open side drawer, close side drawer, or you can actually toggle. And what they are doing, they're just, you know, adding a dispatch. This is what happens behind the scenes. So if we want to open the side drawer, we just need to call this .props, .navigation, and open side drawer. Pretty simple stuff. So I'm going to do it on press. This is equal to something, and whenever we click it, I just want to trigger the open side drawer. Right, let's test it. Gonna go here and open side drawer, and we get it. So of course, if we tap upside, it's gonna close it. You can even toggle this, right? Maybe you would like to add a button inside of the side drawer, for example. Let's say we open this and you add a new button, and we're gonna talk about this in a minute, that closes the side drawer. So you can totally do it with toggle or close side drawer. All right, okay. So if you want to check the example, you get right here the example, but it's pretty much what we are doing right now. So it just makes no sense. All right, so let me just go back to the app. And of course, just like we discussed previously, you get all the main defaults, the default options, and these ones are on the drawer navigation config. Now, right here at the bottom, let me go here, you get the content options. So these ones are only for the drawer items. So you can pass some configuration to each item on the side drawer. Notice that right now we can get kind of a background. It's not very noticeable, but it's a little bit darker than the background color, and this is because it has opacity. So we can, of course, style all of this right here. So these content options are going to go right here on the defaults. They will apply for pretty much, you know, all the options, all the items we create with the navigator. So for example, what can you do? Well, maybe change the active background color. let's say that if we are on that section, the active is going to be blue. So I'm going to reload it, going to open it, and we get blue. Right, pretty cool. So again, you can do a lot of things. Maybe select the active key, maybe the tint color, which is the color of the label. I'm not going to do it because they make sense. Inactive tint color, if the button is not active, you just can change the color of the text. And maybe an item style, that's okay. And I want to show you something else that it's a little bit more important, like creating maybe a button. Sorry, an image of a button. So I'm gonna reload this and try it on Android. Open side drawer. So what I want to do, maybe I want to open and make the side drawer just a little bit bigger, and I want to add a custom component here. Maybe add an icon, for example. And we get an option, so we can do that with the screen navigation options. But that's okay. We're gonna do it on the next section. Let's go to the next one and add a label.